Yeah, so we're live now. Sorry for being a couple minutes late. Actually, I thought I was more late because usually I am, but yeah, I wanted to move outside because my daughter's about to go to sleep, and I just like being outside. But apparently, when I did that, I let a bug in, and then I had to deal with it. But I only half dealt with it, so now Mrs. is angry, and my daughter, she's one, so she likes to eat everything, even bugs. Um, but
Protein.
yeah, right. So, welcome to another Journeys episode. Speaking of which, I will change the background because this is a Journey show, so we should have the Journeys background. And I'm, very partial to this one because it's some project that I worked on. But anyway, you guys are doing some really cool stuff. I guess I can. I don't know. What should we call you? Should we call you Yuka? I mean, should we call you?
That's probably what most people are gonna know me by. I forget everybody's actual names. I use screen names, but
Okay.
my name's Faye. If anyone wants to use that.
Okay, sweet. I'll try to go with Yuka. But yeah, yeah, welcome to the show. You are kind of not our normal guest, and that's why I'm having problems, I guess. No, I'm having problems because my earplugs are tied up. Anyway, you're kind of not our normal guest in that you're one of these what I like to call a self-organizing community. You've kind of come in and you've organized things yourself. You weren't gifted or given an initial plot of land. You kind of picked it up on the market, and you did this kind of community incentive or initiation by yourself, which I think is really cool. So you guys are connected. Well, you call yourselves Londomly Londom, the Londomly Londom Community, and obviously you operate in the Genesis server. No, you don't. You operate in the Londom server. So just tell us a little bit about yourselves. Like, where did you come from? How did you start? Building this community. I'm curious. I want to know everything because I don't know that much.
So from what I know, Fallen. I don't know what he's known by in game. I think it was like Y something. I don't remember that screen name, but he was in this towards the beginning of the Uplift, and so he actually his. I think he got a chance to get his land early in London or something like that. And so he's been at this for a while, and from the look of it, I think he's gotten a lot of inspiration from just what you guys are doing, and it's been really like inspiring for him to see the gratitude in the community and think, okay, well, what can we do to give more to the community, especially in terms of like if you look at both your project and then playing on London, what are people facing, what struggles are they having and stuff. And like for one, everybody mentions there are people who have land and they're not being active, and there's that concern, especially with the rewards. So it's the thought of taking and incentivizing being an active player and then making it more interesting so you want to be active and you want to be involved and you want to come together as a community.
Right. And so you guys are only operating in London. Do you have plans? I mean, with the name, like, it's funny because like Corey and I, like, we set up our we set up the show a while ago, and then we set up like our company email as like USIO update or weekly update or something, and then like a week later we decided that we were going to do more than just EOS. So like it's like now we're just like well, that's all of our stuff, so we'll just keep it. But like with you guys, you named yourselves Londomly Londom. Like, is the plan to always be in London, or is it like, are you just going to be like Londomly Londom in Uplift someday? Like, I don't know.
We are primarily in London, but for instance, our first bit is actually going to be located in Genesis. We do have some area in Genesis, and that will be revealed a bit later, as our actual storyline quest line is released. But we also would like to be collaborating with communities on other servers, for instance. And the way our project and our storyline works, it allows for us to cooperate with them and have players go over to those servers, explore what they've got going on, or have those players come here. It's not just for people who have land on London, it's everybody, but also exploring elsewhere and really including the uplift in general.
Okay, very cool. Yeah. Usually, what we do is, I hope that you have these capacities. We like to go into game with you guys, as you guys are the drivers. I'm not entirely sure that you're actually a real person. You might be an AI, because that dog behind you looks eerily familiar to Corey. So I'm kind of wondering
Yeah.
if
I don't
he's
think
just
she's
like,
moved either.
yeah, neither. so yeah,
No,
neither does
I'm a
Corey.
real person, but yeah, I can get in game. I tested that earlier.
Okay, sweet. Yeah, so if you wouldn't mind hopping on in, I'd like to see what you guys are building. What it looks like, and what you guys have been doing.
So we don't have any specific, like we have one build in Genesis right now, which we are going to use for the quest line. So I think we could fly around it, but we can't. I don't know. We can't go in. We're setting stuff up inside it that we don't want revealed until people are in there doing it.
Sure, yeah, just fly around it then. I'm okay just for a fly around. I mean,
Okay.
yeah, it's morning. I'm having a coffee. I need something to look at. Yeah. So if you guys have any questions, like I know I have a couple more as well. So while you pull that up, who does your community consist of? Like, so you like you mentioned that it was built by a couple people already, but is this like a full scale community thing, or is this like and by invite only? Like, what are the kind of future plans for inclusions into your project and your community, and how can people get involved?
So it's gonna be accessible to everyone. Right now, it's because we haven't released anything just yet. We're working behind the scenes, getting everything together. It's a really small team. Most of the time, it's me and Fallen discussing things and getting things figured out. We've started talking to some other people as well, but I'm also already currently actively interviewing players who have been with London for a while, so that I can do what I have to for our storyline, because the storyline's a big part of it as well. And the quest lines and everything. I'm sorry, I don't know if it's lagging or not as it gets its given.
Yeah, sometimes there is a lag, but it's okay. I'll let Cowie in because he's here. Morning, Cowie.
Yeah.
Good morning.
I think as soon as it gets settled, it'll be fine.
Yuka?
Yeah, we're good. We're just getting introduced.
I'm good.
We're just getting introduced to Londomly Londom here by Yuka. She's gonna give us a fly around of their build. Guess where their build is, Cowie? Where we're gonna get an introduction to.
I'm going to guess it is in Genesis.
Yeah, well, it has to be because we're gonna do a fly around. But yeah, so they're working towards the unveil of their grand plan. So we're not allowed inside. That's crazy. This is our metaverse, and we're not even allowed inside. What's happening here? Bullshipples has done this to us. Now Londomly Londom. I don't know what's going on, but I'm here for it. I like it. So yeah.
So I'm assuming you can, if you're looking at that map, you can see where I am, because I'm actually currently parked at that plot. And I don't remember the coordinates off the top of my head. I guess I can pull them up.
Oh, no worries. If you want to keep it like a secret, it's fine. We don't.
Oh yeah.
We don't have to put that out there.
Yeah.
But if
we can not say the coordinates, that would be great.
Yeah, if you share your screen, then I can pull it up so everyone can see where you are in the game.
Let me see how to do. Oh, there it is.
But yeah, you're not the first. Who was it? GYB, Grow Your Base, that did a similar thing. They wouldn't tell us where they were for the longest time, and then when they came out with their release, that was pretty epic. So I kind of like the thrill of having to wait, if I'm honest.
Oh, for sure. But yeah, as I was saying before, we are going to allow, with the quest line and everything, like the involvement, anyone can become a member. To be more actively involved, you really have to be part of London. So we want to try and encourage people to want to get plots in London, there are a bunch of them up on the secondary marketplace right now. So
Right. Yeah, and it's interesting because I think that I've been there for a while. I'm not necessarily as active as I should be because I'm busy with other things, but it's one of those places that had like it's I think in the future it's going to have like one of the biggest cult followings, right? Like there's a couple that are going to have that, but like Londom's been around for so long. I remember, like, I think Kelly probably remembers this back in the day as well. It's like when Chicken Caw launched, and it was like the survival world. Nobody still really isn't in Genesis yet. We're still in the process of opening that up. But Chicken Caw and Londom, and there's a few other survival worlds now. But there was this like big feud, and it's like, oh, come on, like you guys are over there in Chicken Caw with your like fancy cheat codes, and this isn't real survival. Like if you want real, I built this stuff in Londom, getting blown up by zombies, like spider attacking me. So it's become like this interesting, almost like cult classic of a server where people have like bragging rights, and I like it. Like I got my ass handed to me so many times back in the day in London. All I have is like this little farm under the tracks, right? Just this little farm under the tracks that nobody can see. Like that's as far as I got. But, yeah.
That's the same with me. Like that's what I have as well. I mean, I've played in Chicken Caw quite a bit in terms of survival, but it still didn't have mobs activated, so it was a little bit easier than London, and that's why because I was lazy at the time. Well, I didn't have a lot of time to just be in game building all of the time as well. I developed more of the Chicken Caw plot, and the London plot it's got some stuff. It's got like a little farm and a little cave where I hid from the monsters, but it's not nearly as developed because I didn't have a lot of time to get to that. But I do see London as I don't know exactly why, but I kind of think of London as that medieval server, like where people are really building everything from scratch. It's very manual, and I think there is a really interesting vibe to it. That it's almost like a feudal community. It's really cool.
Right.
And it's an excellent community too. Honestly, I only just started playing a couple days ago. I got my first pieces of land ever. So, but I've come in contact with some community members today, and also in my interviews and stuff. And a lot of people in London are all about helping other players. And I think that's great. I think that's a real reflection of what this whole thing is about, and it's something we want to reflect in our project.
Yeah. And I think your project is super interesting. I'm actually very interested to hear even more because I've already talked a little bit with SE about it. And yeah, now you're here to talk about the story that you've been writing, right? Like, I don't know how much you're gonna reveal from it, but I'm interested to see what you are ready to reveal and what are the things that are coming, because they're pretty exciting.
I'm sure that I'm probably ready to reveal way less than you would like.
Fair enough.
I'm gonna say that's probably fair. I don't know if it's shared or not, but
sorry. Yeah, you haven't shared your screen yet, so I can't put it up. But the minute that you share it, we'll throw it up.
You can click.
I thought I had shared it. Oh my goodness! I thought I was doing a fly around this entire time.
There's like a little icon down there that says share.
Yeah, I think I just didn't complete it.
It's totally okay. Like I'm used to having like being on streams. Like sometimes people just randomly talking, and like Clay's good at this. He thinks that we all see what's happening, and then we don't. And sometimes I just let him do it like for fun, and then like tell him later. By the way, we haven't been watching you for like the last 5 minutes. He's like,
at least it's not just me.
Well, I mean, at least you can share your screen without like blowing up the internet, because it's when I do that. So.
Oh, it definitely. You guys glitched out a bit while I thought I was doing a fly around. But
that looks pretty cool.
Yeah, we had an excellent builder work on this, and then we've been tinkering around inside as well. And this thing, I believe it had to be trimmed a couple of blocks just to fit.
That is really nice.
Yeah, it's a great build. I'm really excited to work with it.
So can you
I
tell
mean,
can you tell us what the inspiration behind this design was? Like, obviously it's a massive castle. I mean, it looks pretty sweet. We're definitely gonna have to get you on the blog as well, and maybe dive a little bit deeper into some of this stuff as well. But like, obviously there's some like, you know, futuristic elements there, some fantastical. I don't know if that's a word, but anyway, it is now.
fantastic.
Fantastical
Oh
elements,
my goodness.
fantasy like elements in there with, you know, the statue and the floating island and the waterfalls coming off of it. It's pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
What was the inspiration behind the build that you can reveal that doesn't like kind of throw your whole you know, reveal under the bus?
So to be honest, I think a lot of that will probably be in the blog post, because I think Fallen came up with like the idea behind this, or like the vibe he wanted, and went to the builder with it. But our story is very fantasy based, with the ability to go outside of fantasy and into other genres. But let's just say we're starting with like the mystical element. We're starting with Minecraft and like mages and stuff like that, and we're going from there.
Okay. So is it kind of medieval in a way? Not
don't-
necessarily.
Every time I think of medieval, I'm thinking like people pushing carts full of plague bodies and pigs rolling in the mud, and people are losing their teeth. I don't know, like, so I wouldn't say that. I would just say fantasy.
As a history teacher, like, you know, I'm just gonna, if I ever teach history again, I'm just gonna, that's gonna be the whole course. People pushing carts with bodies full of the plague. And then we're just gonna look at, like, you know, Londomly Londom and other Minecraft castles for the rest of the time.
I mean, some people,
Yeah, I don't know.
There are classes teaching history on there now.
Yeah.
Right?
I think like medieval in my head when I asked the question was more like still fantasy, but like, you know, Lord of the Rings kind of thing. Like that gives me medieval vibes, but it's, of course, it's all fantasy in the end, right?
I think maybe the word should be fair instead.
Did you just beep yourself? Like, all I heard was like something beep something. Like, did you just bleep your swear words out of the sentence? That's awesome. We've never had anyone do that before. I love you, Yuka. No. It's great.
Oh
bringing class to the channel. It's good all around. It's awesome. Amazing.
No, I said Ren Fair. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, What is your character in the 3D map?
Which do you remember which F key that is? I never remember, and then I push a bunch of things.
Don't make me bleep you again.
It's the same as her name in here in the stream.
Okay, sweet. All right, cool.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant what it looked like. Oh, my character is just the same as been for like ever.
That's a really good image you have right there. I mean, I'm impressed.
Yeah.
It's got
with the sun right there.
Yeah, so I think maybe what my good friend Cowie here was trying to allude to is like medieval historical fiction, right? Like, but like with a fantasy element. And so this actually is interesting because it's not quite that, but it reminds me of like Avatar. There's that scene in Avatar where they're learning how to you know, ride the little creatures after they plug in, and they're jumping
the floating islands.
That's floating islands, and there's just something about that, right? So I totally get what you mean, like this melding of you know, what we would, you know, note as like medieval iconography with essentially, you know, futuristic elements, which has become the staple for a lot of science fiction movies. So yeah, I think it's really cool. I'm excited to see what's going to come out of this. I mean, I kind of wish you would have streamed, you would have, you know, scheduled the stream for 30 minutes later, because now I'm going to be on the edge of my seat for the next 35 minutes just thinking about what we don't know.
We'll have to make sure to keep you waiting a bit longer.
Right? Yeah. So Cowie, do you have any other questions in regards to?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know how much, again, you're ready to talk about it, but do you have anything else to tell us about the plans, like how, because basically Londomly London is a community that was created inside of the Uplift World, right? With
Yes.
the London map in mind, and then it kind of became its own thing, and it's involving so much more. There's a story behind it, a history behind it. There's videos being created, and a lot of content being created around the concept of Londomly London Community. What is any of the dynamics you guys are picturing? Like, how are you going to interact with the users, or do you have anything else that you can share? Because I'm very curious.
Absolutely. So like we've got 4 major goals. We want to fill the server. We don't have a lot of people who are active right now. I don't even remember how many plots they said are actually sold, but a lot of them are held by people who just aren't playing. I think most of the time there's like less than 10 people playing at a given time.
Yeah, London was actually never sold, right? Like from the team. I mean, it was always either promotions or giveaways and things like that. And therefore, a lot of the people who got those lands, they might be just people holding land for investment purpose or something like that, and then they're not actually playing in there. They're playing in other servers, or they're not playing it. So,
Hey, are you sure about that?
About
what
what?
did you say?
I'm pretty sure there was some London that went out in a sale. Was there not?
I don't.
There's a bunch on the
know.
secondary
I don't
marketplace at this
think
point.
so. I think it
I
was
see what
always
you're
like,
saying. Could be.
yeah, like on the secondary marketplace, there's a lot of people selling it, right? But I think we didn't sell it from us. Like, it was always some combination of giveaway from Genesis NFT holders plus Rail and that kind of stuff, right?
I think I heard there might have been I think there was an auction or something. I don't know.
Yeah, okay, that makes more sense then. I see what you're saying. Yeah, so we didn't do it like we did with Uplift per se. Yeah, I get
With
what you're saying.
Genesis, yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah,
Or
there were
Uplift, yeah.
some. Sorry, it gets confusing for me at times too. But yeah, I mean, fair enough. Like
So that's one of our 4 goals. We want to create draw to the community, to people not just already holding land, but people outside to like get land and become active players. We want to give them like incentive to do so. That we want to make it interesting and also give them rewards in addition to what they're already going to be getting from the Uplift. Part of that is this for us is it's a community central project. It's not we're doing this and now interact with us. We want to get everybody involved. And that's part of why I've been interviewing players already. Some of the people who have been there the longest, they're going to be some of the first people who are featured in the storyline, because that's one of the things we want to do is for active players, you do get featured in the storyline over time so that everybody's in there. And it becomes like a story within our game story. But it's like a separate story, but it's also attached to it's adding to the metaverse.
Yeah, that's it. It's a different dimension in the metaverse, maybe, or something like that, right? I like that a lot.
Yeah, so how will the story be told? Is it always going to be told on the blogs, or
It's a mixture. So it's going to be released in chapters. That's the easiest way to do it, especially because we want the players to have some control. After I think this first chapter and then one more, players suddenly start to get a choice. Like at the end of that chapter, they get to choose, okay, you've got these 2 options for how the story proceeds. Which one do you want? And they vote on it. And so they have some control over where it goes and becomes a story that they're actively involved in.
So it reminds me of like those old choose your own adventure types of things.
That's to some extent, yeah, that's what we want to be doing. Because we don't want it to be just, hey, you guys are going to read a story. We want them in the story. We want them choosing the story. We want it to be a story that reflects them and the community. And then that's going to tie back to quests, which is going to tie back to plots. We're going to involve like all community plots over the course of time too. Same with the storyline, so that people are also getting traffic to their plots, which, that's a big draw because of the whole active play and people, earning Upliftium and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And it encourages them to it helps them to make their plots interesting for other players to want to traffic those plots. And in turn, that also makes London more appealing to other players.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, I think that hopefully we're going to see more of that coming. And it's nice that you guys are setting like a precedent for other communities to do something like that as well, which is obviously it's just the realization of we need more people to play with us, and we need more players to come for rewards to get better, and for other reasons as well, for us to be able to interact more and have more fun in the server, right? And the best way to do that is just to add value ourselves, like as a community, right? So the team is doing a lot to try to make this project an interesting thing, but without community effort, it's never going to be as interesting as it could be, right? So this is a really nice thing that you guys are doing, which is showing how organized you can be to bring your own history and story and interactivity to the game, right?
Yeah, thanks
Absolutely.
for showing us up on the organizational level. That's great.
Oh, believe me, it gets messy over here too. I think that's everything.
No, I like it,
Well,
and I like it's gonna get really messy, to be honest, over there. And I'm here for it. Like it also kind of in a way reminds me of what Alpaca Worlds did with their like character, where they're kind of like allowing the community to decide where Tupac goes and stuff like that. So I'm really interested to see like what kind of plays that you guys pull out of the books, and where this kind of leads in terms of like, yeah, I like the fact like it makes sense to me because like we have a little bit of a mythology, an underpinning of where we came from, on our side. And I know Cowie's working hard on some other ideas, but a lot of even what Cowie's working on is dynamic. It's coming like over time, right? And
mhm.
this is an interesting kind of take, I think, especially with our Minecraft metaverse. You look at like a project like Blockchain Heroes, where they started from scratch and they came out with like a superhero and a storyline, and they had all of that preformed. That makes sense because it was it was not there one day, and then they released it, and then it was there, right? But with our project, with the Uplift World, it's a metaverse including many different people that's evolving over time. So you guys have kind of taken that concept, I think, as Howie, maybe hinted at, to the next level. You've actually brought that like into the storyline itself, and you're like, okay, this is where we are. We don't know where we're headed, but when we get to where we're headed, then we'll work that into the storyline as well for Londomly Londom. And I think that's just a really cool concept that you're already planning that in, baking that in.
Yeah,
Oh,
I think you
absolutely.
explained much better than I did.
I think you really have to, because even barring like any changes that might happen on y'all's end, like as our community grows, it's going to change, and so we need to be able to adjust to make sure that this is still a project and a story and a quest line for the community, and they're getting what they want.
I have a thing for accents, so whatever happens, can you just make sure that at some point in the storyline your character says y'all? Like I think that needs to be in there.
I don't have a character in it, but I'll try to put somebody in there that says y'all. I have a hard time not writing that in there in the first place.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Well, I'm pretty sure that you should have a character in it.
I mean, I think it's enough that like the story is my character.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
but I mean,
it's
now
my baby.
you're also there, right? Like you've got your plots, and you're also going to start playing and interacting with the community. So I'm sure there's going to be a place for you as a character as well.
I'm sure.
Yeah, so
it's coming.
So now your plots, are those plots connected to the storyline, or is that just something personal where you're like just playing around?
I mean, I just got them. I got really excited about getting some, and I got an idea in my head for what I wanted to build. And I was like, I'm getting these. Nobody else wants these. They're cheap. It's fine. I'm getting some. But I'm assuming because we're involving all plots in the storyline, and because us earning Upliftium also helps the community, etc., that eventually my plots would also be involved. But right now there's very little going on. I have my nice little base now, and that's happy. I have a pet drowned, and then I have an ocean plot that I haven't done anything with, but I have big plans.
Have you ever played Minecraft before this?
Yeah, but the last time I played vanilla was probably before 2015.
Okay.
I got really excited about Thaumcraft, and I forgot about vanilla, and now there's llamas that I can't ride and are spitting at me, and there's donkeys. I tried an elytra today. I didn't even know what that was. I've still never been to the end, but there's all these things. I guess there are, I can't say this word, I don't think anybody can say this word, but there's oxalotls in the game now.
Yeah, it's not in the Uplift yet because it's on the latest release, and it's gonna be a little while until we upgrade to the latest one. But they're coming at some point.
Okay. So this is like playing it brand new for me. Like, they're drowned now. I didn't know that was a thing.
I haven't actually played Thumbcraft before. How is it?
It's pretty great. It's like with one of those video games where you get focused on one part of it and you forget about the rest of the game. Okay. So I just sat there exploring my little magic book and adding to my magic book, and I forgot how to, like, anything about the regular Minecraft world. I wasn't building or anything. I was just setting my magic shop on fire occasionally and corrupting it and all that.
That is kind of cool, though. I like that. People can focus on whatever they want, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a great thing about mods, but I'm glad that they're adding stuff, especially for big servers like this. That way there's more gameplay without the, I guess, extra lag and resources. Yeah,
exactly. Because, I think that's the main thing. Because as far as, I'm not a technical guy on Minecraft, but as far as I understand, that's one of the main challenges, which is when you play Minecraft, it's such a heavy, an intense, resource-heavy kind of project, game. That you can either run a really big server like we're doing, which is way more vanilla and even controlled and all that, and then you get all of the players playing at once, which is a big challenge, or you have like really tiny instances of the same server where players don't interact with each other directly necessarily, or not all of them, just a few of them, or you have like just individual little mini games. So there's options, but what you can't do at this very moment is to have a huge server with lots of players and all the mods and everything running. So this is like the biggest challenge right now, right? But in the future, I'm certainly thinking that we're going to be able to find the right mods and the right things to implement and make it even more interactable and with more options for people to work with in terms of game mechanics, right?
Oh, I'm sure that would be excellent. And I think in the meantime, like you said, that like we've got something going, other communities have things going, and I think that helps add an extra layer of interest to the vanilla that people have been playing for years. Like, how can we expand the game that's here until we can get something other than that?
Well, and
that's
now
exactly how I see it too.
And now with the shared inventories too, and the transport hub, in a lot of ways, I actually think that it might actually be better than just having everything on one big server, right? Like, because I think the original map was like something ridiculous, like the old world map.
Yeah.
It was something like the size of Mars or something, like if you mapped it out. But even then, right? Like if you look at the I don't know, the rendering of the landforms or the like the land masses in the oceans of all the worlds, right? Londom, Chicken Caw, especially the survival cluster, right? Londom, Chicken Caw, Genesis, for example, 3, but there's some over the Our Planet ones as well are now involved in that too. They're all kind of like really different, that have like different backdrops for like, resources, right? Even Chicken Caw has like 3 very distinct areas in it, but they're pretty far, right? And then you look at Londom and Uplift, and now you've got these shared inventories where people can just go through that hub and port from one place to the other place and move resources from here, there, and everywhere. I mean, it's really exciting, and I don't even know, like, if you can do that in regular Minecraft. Like, it would be much more difficult to have the benefits of all of that, I think, on the old map. So just like by default, we had to, for scalability, move to a bunch of different maps. But now, like, coming up with the concept of the transport hub, I think it makes more sense than it would have been if we would have stayed on that giant map, right? I mean, the rails can only go so fast. So.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. I think, and my point was also that even now that we cut, like, old world was just ridiculously big, right? It was just something insane. But even the maps that we have now are already quite big maps, right? Like they're, I don't know, 5 by 5 kilometers if it was in real world or something like that, as far as I understood. and it's a lot, right? It's a big chunk of land. And then when you have the transport hubs, like what we're getting to the point where we're getting now is really exciting to me, like to be able to see people actually having transport modes, which are like you go on rails, or you ride your horse, or you run, across the playing field, and then you get to a hub, and then you get teleported to the next world. Like this starts to feel more like everything is interconnected, and it is ultimately this really big world, but just has all these different sectors, and people can travel through them. And this will give a lot of opportunities, which is what Yuka was saying earlier as well, and I agree. For us to explore the conceptual interesting side of things, which is the ideas, the creativity that can come out of it. So for now, if we don't have digital physical mods or whatever that you can interact with, you have all the storylines that you can create, and you have all the ways that you can, because I think that's what the Uplift is about. It's more about the community and what we're building in terms of bringing people together and then interacting with the other servers. I don't know if I'm making any sense at this point, but I'm interested to see that being explored more, like what you guys are doing, for example, right?
Yeah, I think it makes perfect sense. And I mean, that's what we're trying for. Like you said, these maps are huge. I mean, I'm on the bottom edge of the map, so I get the spawn and I'm like all the way over here.
Takes a little while to get there.
Yeah, and then they've talked about it before, everybody's spread out, especially because London's land plots, they were given in a different way. So it was a lot harder to just cluster together with people you knew.
And yeah, it was totally, I kind of remember now, it was totally randomized the way that they went out. So like I got really lucky. One of my rail plots, one of them is like on the same rail track, just directly north of spawn. It's like a 15-minute walk, which like in Minecraft times, that's like prime real estate, man. That's like, right?
Yeah.
But like some of the other plots that I have are way out there. Like even in Chicken Caw, for me to walk from my like rail plot that I bought on the northeast all the way to the southeast plot takes like probably a good hour and a bit just to walk along the rails. And like I can drive from one end of the island that I'm on to the other end in 2 hours. So technically for me to walk around one of our maps would take me longer than to drive from like where I live in the real world from north to south, which is kind of crazy if you think about it, right? It's like,
yeah. And now you just remembered, you just mentioned about your rail. So that I'm going to correct what I said earlier, because you're right. It's just that what I meant was land was not sold for London, but rail was. So rails were on packs together with Genesis, right?
Yeah, it's okay. We like I said, we get confused because like we're doing so much new stuff with pressing boundaries. It's like sometimes I have to look up the answers. I mean, I like always. I'm gonna say this, always defer to Cowie because like he's in the mix every day in the Telegram. He knows stuff. I'm gonna make a T-shirt that says "Who knows stuff?" This guy. I do have another question for you though, because like you know stuff too, Yuka. And I'm kind of curious. So you're basically your job is to write this story, right? To not write the story, but to start the mythology off. Now, obviously, you've probably got some things already, on paper, in the works because of the build that incorporate that central build. Now, you also mentioned earlier that one of the things will be that the community who's involved will be able to kind of choose the direction or choose the path of the storyline. Now, I'm curious, is that, I don't know, maybe you haven't figured it out yet, but when you say choose, they're going to be able to like, it's like a multiple choice. You have 3 options and we're going to go in this direction, or is there going to be an avenue for them to suggest where the storyline should go? And again, it's very early and you haven't even had this reveal yet, but for people who are interested, like where should they be other than the Londomly Londom Telegram channel, which is linked below, to get more involved and have a say in the direction of the history of the world?
So it's a bit of both. They'll get 2 options was what we decided. I suppose there's a possibility we might make it more, but that means more writing for me, because basically I'll have to write it, or at least the outline of it, to be able to release it to them as soon as possible after they make their choice. So it's like, do we go this direction? Do we go this direction? But they'll also, like, as our membership ranking system is based on involvement, and the higher ranking they have, meaning they're showing more involvement, more interest in the community, more interest in being a community, the more choice and the more say they're going to have in like, hey, do you have any suggestions? Is there something you would like to see? And of course, right now, honestly, anybody could reach out to us directly on Telegram. Anybody who's, I think we're also doing the Discord too. You have to be on the Discord for the community because that's where we're going to give out points. It's the only way we have to track it. But anybody can reach out to us now and say, hey, you know, I've got this idea. Do you think this could be worked in? Can we collaborate? And we're open to that. We want to work with people who want to be part of this community so that we can build it.
This is like pretty mind-blowing now, because I didn't realize that you're actually going to write both parts of the story. So you're going to write something that's never going to be used, which essentially becomes a timeline that has died, that at any point in time somebody else could pick up and like spin off a mini series. I'm just going to throw that out there. Like,
I mean, that's definitely something to consider. Or, you know, maybe this timeline that you abandoned to die in the void came back with a vengeance, because why didn't you choose me?
Right. And like there's some really interesting concepts. Or like, yeah, I was just referencing like Quantum Leap the other day and like some other weird like, shows like that, right? Like where you have all of these parallel timelines, and that's an interesting concept. I'm really excited to see where this goes. Like I'm gonna figure out a way to make a giant mess of this, honestly.
Oh my goodness.
No, like
you're just trying to make my job harder. Oh my goodness.
No, but I like it, right? Like I'm interested to see how the community reacts to, in a positive way, obviously, but how the community reacts to these. I'm interested to see how the community reacts in a positive way to these dead timelines, because that's a really, like, basically these are cliffhangers of what would have been. Like, I mean, I often think about what my life would have been if I would have taken one direction instead of another.
I think we all do.
Right. That's kind of cool.
I would love to see like memes and stuff explode off of it, where people are like, we went this way, but the people mourning this one are like drawing memes and stuff off of it and making big inside jokes. And I'd love to see that.
Londomly memed into oblivion. That would be great.
We love memes. So the more people meme on this, the more we're going to love it.
I think that's a great idea. You guys should award like, I mean, I'm sorry, but I think it would be really cool if you guys awarded prizes for like the best storyline ending memes like of all time. Like that would be really fun, right? And that would get the community even more engaged. I think that would be cool.
Honestly, it's highly likely. We're planning on interweaving NFTs with the quest line, with the storyline and stuff, and we want to involve the community in that too. We're going to use known artists and new ones, but we also want to have times where the community can submit NFTs, and then the community gets together and votes on what NFTs they want to see. And so they can do that with the memes. They could do that with other artwork. We want this to just be everybody.
Callie, we should get together and like pool some Upliftium with like some of our team, and we should start a plot in London, and it should just be like a hallway that looks like those portals from the teleport hub with a picture, but you actually can't walk through it because there's no world there. It's been shut down, and we'll just put like the meme picture there instead of the teleport picture. Like
that's totally the end of this storyline.
That's excellent.
It's like that would be great.
That'd be pretty fun, actually. Yeah, I mean,
I'd love to see that.
That's the stuff. Imagine that, but then like in 5 years' time, 10 years' time, when people are visiting, like, what is these old ancient ruins? Like, what was this about?
Like Planet of the Apes.
Right.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
What were they doing?
Yeah, what were they thinking when they put this together?
I'm totally gonna forget about this. So if Callie or anyone out there listening can remember, like, remind me in a few weeks when London kicks off, and I'll get back on it. But yeah.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of the NFTs that you guys are putting together. I'm not gonna say anything about it, just accept that they look really nice, and like,
honestly,
worked with really good artists to get it done.
Honestly, I've put some together too that haven't made it out either. So I mean, there's an excellent sketch of Corey as a wizard that just didn't end up being used.
Oh, that's
then it should be used at some point.
Oh, I'm sure at some point we'll have like, these are the things that didn't happen. We've already got bloopers. Bloopers are so fun.
Nice.
They're right up there with the
Make
memes.
a gallery of them, you know. Yeah, that's oh man. I'm excited to see that. I think this is gonna be the motivation for me to spend more time in London as well once you guys release all of that.
We've already heard similar, honestly, because we have the people I've been interviewing. They know like some of what I've told you guys, a bit extra, all of that, and they're excited. A couple of people said, you know, I was kind of bored of playing, and now I'm like getting really excited to play again, and that was really nice to hear. That was really uplifting. Haha.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the stuff that I'm trying to work, you know, with the team and try to develop and all, is to bring this kind of identity and history, you know, to the Uplift, to the as a whole, like as a project, because I think there's nothing that I value more than giving people all of these opportunities to actually get involved in a meaningful way, right? That's what people are looking for in the end, right? Which is why do you play a different, like there's so many strategic games and so many war games and all, and usually the gameplay is one thing, like, oh, you go and there's different mechanics, it's interesting, but it's the storyline and it's what it's about, like the whole concept behind it, how many people are playing, like those are the things that really matter, right? Like those are the things that get players interested and involved with a game, I think. So I think that's what we should, a lot of what we should be focusing on as well as a community.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, honestly, I think the Uplift has a very unique position to be able to do something better. I mean, everybody's looking at what crypto games can I play right now? How can I get passive income? But if you can do that while also making sure people remember gratitude, making sure people remember community, making sure that they're actually trying to be engaged with each other in a meaningful way, not just like shooting each other or collecting things and just playing alongside each other, but actively making something together. I think that you're creating something better. It's like you're trying to create the end of Ready Player One, not the beginning of it.
Well, that's it. In the conceptual way, yes, and then when you're talking about the technical way, then we're behind. But we're already like, if we can focus already on the end. When it comes to the goals and the things we should keep in mind, let's just go to the end and let's just do it properly, right? When it comes to the technical difficulties, we're still, you know, like looking at Minecraft vanilla kind of thing. But at some point, we're going to be all with, you know, virtual reality glasses, walking around and doing all sorts of things like they were.
To anyone who's like just tuning in, who has no idea about us or anything that we do, that was just a complete load of nonsense. But for me, that was like the most sensical thing I've heard all week. Like that makes total sense. And I just want to say this too, like, you know, especially the situation that we find ourselves in now, and the world as it exists, right? Like this, finding these connections with other people out there in the real world. It's kind of huge. I mean, that's a big thing that people are kind of in want and need for right now. So I think like just providing that location where people come together and, you know, have that community, it doesn't really exist in a lot of places in the real world right now. So like even beyond just killing things and mining diamonds, there's that aspect towards it as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. Honestly, when I first came into this, I was really confused because the initial document he gave me, I was like, why are we talking about community and gratitude? Like, I've never heard any Minecraft player say this ever. Is this the right audience? What's happening?
Right.
And then he showed me the gratitude ceremony. He had me watch like the YouTube video and stuff. I'm like, oh wow, there's like a whole like massive server of people who actually do want to play Minecraft this way. And then I've seen it more in doing the interviews because it wasn't even necessarily important for what I was interviewing them for. But I wanted to know what each player thought about gratitude and what they thought about community, like what those things meant to them. And I'm seeing that a lot of these people, they don't just give me like, oh, this is the Webster dictionary version of gratitude. They're like, it means this to me. I want to do this with it. Like community means this. And it's like, they really want to come together. They want to be in a place where people are actively giving to each other and giving back, and they're not griefing each other and everything.
Well, and
Yeah.
you're striving for this already, I guess, in a small way, but it just clicked to me like how much of a redefining moment what you guys are, I think, about to embark on and the effect that it's gonna have on the whole metaverse. I kind of feel.
I hope so. I'm down to be a domino. I'm down.
Yeah, there's new things. I've already mentioned that to SV. There's a few things coming from the team side that hopefully, I don't know when they're going to be ready, because people keep asking when about everything, and we're developing stuff. We're going to get there when we do. But they're gonna resonate really well with what you guys are doing as well, and I think I'm excited to see how that plays out.
When Dolphins Grace
excellent.
Hyperloop.
What?
When
Are you
Dolphins
trying to
Grace
bleep?
Hyperloop. No, when Dolphins Grace Hyperloop.
Oh yeah, that was Adam's comment.
Okay.
I mean,
Oh, I can't see that.
we need dolphin races in the uplift for sure. I don't know how to do that.
Are there dolphins?
Yeah, man, I got
There are
dolphins.
dolphins, yeah.
I just found out there are turtles, so
Yeah, you should like. Yeah, I have a cool little turtle sanctuary in Chicken Claw, and outside I can like feed the dolphins. It's great. I randomly throw things to them.
I want turtles so badly.
Yeah, the dolphins aren't mine. Nobody owns the dolphins. You got to give them the freedom to roam about. But I mean, if you
Oh
feed
yeah,
them,
they're aliens.
they'll come back. Yeah, that's it. They're totally aliens. The octopuses are definitely aliens. I mean,
Oh yeah,
but that's
sure.
another stream.
Yeah. Hey TC, how are you, man? Just saw that he's popped in as well.
Right? Yeah,
Good
totally.
to see you.
Totally, Kelly's right. There's some interesting things that are coming in the backgrounds, and there's some really interesting players, and different communities are starting to develop. Yours is one of them, which is really exciting because we're seeing people rally around different kinds of real life interests, right? Like in your case, community is going to be part of it, but also I think just there are people who really get into stories, right? And there are those that don't, right? There are people that really get into mining. There are people that really get into builds. There are people that really get into economy. Some people are into multiple things, but it's going to be interesting. I don't know if we have this side built into the metaverse quite yet. I mean, there's lots of people who have their own stories, blockchain heroes, Boyd, but nothing's really baked in as of yet to the Minecraft Uplift World metaverse, which is going to be interesting. There was a great, I don't know if you caught it, there was a great little plug. I think it was done by KindCoin. And I guess I should probably look into this more, but they bought the Batman plot that was created, and they made this little story out of it where like the Joker is like stealing pandas, and it was posted on our Telegram channel, and they put like they did the story in the uplift with the animations and recorded it and put voice layovers. So I'm kind of curious, in your storyline, are you guys planning on including, like, obviously you're planning on including the builds, the storyline in the builds, but are you planning on including the builds or some of the characters or even like some extended videos as part of that as well when you're telling the story? Do you have any?
I mean, the characters themselves are actually going to be in the storyline. We want everybody represented, and whether that's for some people that is just their same name, their same skin in Minecraft, and their personality. For others, they're like, okay, well, my skin is a Steve, and I'm like, okay, well, what would you like to be? That's what if you were in a fantasy, what would you like to be? Because we want and I mean, I suppose this is more on my end. I want them to be represented the way they would like to see themselves. They're going to be out there. This is going to be connected to NFTs. We want this to be kind of timeless, and people are reading this and they're reading about them in a way, like a fictional version of them that's connected to things we did in the game.
I want a Londomly Londom drama club where people like can just get together in London, and like a Londomly Londom drama club where people can just get together in London and reenact the story on their plots. So cool.
I'm going to try and tie it into what we can do on the land as much as possible. That we're still figuring out as we go, especially like we want to see how much can we make interactive. Like, for instance, is Redstone going to be around? If it isn't, how can we make it interactive otherwise, you know, and try to roll with that, because we want the storyline to be in London as much as, or in the game as much as possible. So it's not just, okay, you're playing Minecraft, but here you can read this. Not everybody wants to read. And it makes me sad, but I do appreciate this. That's what's exciting about this for me. Like, not everybody reads these days, and that's terrifying. Yeah. But if you can present it in a way that makes them want to read and like brings reading back to these communities.
This is what's so cool about it, right? Because you can really, you can live the story that you're writing inside of a 3D metaverse, which is really cool, right? You can do both. I think it goes both ways, because that's something that I've already thought, and we experienced that through games already, which is sometimes you play a certain game from whatever, a Marvel character, and then you get to kind of like live what the character lives in the movies and the stuff you always pictured about, but you get to be him and play or her and play in the game and do that kind of stuff, right? And then you have what you're doing, which is you get what people are playing and the stuff they're developing, and it's already happening, and you're turning that into a story and adding it to a fictional story. So both things happen, and you can. What my point was, you get to do the first option as well. I think right now you're focusing on getting the people who are already building in game and being active and making their story told in the way that they like and in the way that you see, you know, as interesting as you can. But in the future, you could also just write your own stories and then reenact them in game and just get people to live an experience that you imagine in your own head, right? Which is something like, it kind of blows my mind when I think about the possibilities of that.
Oh yeah, there are absolutely so many possibilities with this. Sometimes it's just a matter of like trying to wrangle it and like, okay, we can't do everything. What are we gonna do?
For sure. I mean, yeah, if you were like, okay, let me try to do everything there is to do in there, and it's like, yeah, you're literally never going to get anything done, because you're going to just be brainstorming about ideas and you're never going to have time to implement them, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Wow, that's super cool. I forgot to ask you, where are you from exactly?
I'm from up north, but I live in Florida.
Okay. Yeah, I've lived in Florida for a little bit.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah.
You got out.
Yeah, no, just like a few months.
It's too hot.
I'm not from the US. I'm from Brazil, actually. And now I live in Indonesia. But I've lived there for, you know, had an experience for work and travel, and just like for 6 months or so. It's a good place. Did you use any of I guess I was trying to say, where are you from? You said you're from up north. You're from the US up north, right? And you live in Florida. Do you use a lot of your life experiences into your stories? The stuff that you lived where you're from, or the stuff that you live now, like, do you try to incorporate that? And I assume are you a writer by trade, or do you do other stuff and this is something that you do as a hobby? I'd like I guess I'm trying to ask.
This is my career. This is my career, honestly. I'm really happy that I'm being paid to do this, because I want to do this. Like, this is the best project I've ever worked on, and I just would not be able to afford to make time for it if I wasn't.
That's incredible. Yeah, that's why I wanted to know more about you, because I'm very interested to have, like, you don't get to see in many games writers have that much exposure. Like, they're such an integral part of all games.
Yeah, we kind of get shoved back.
Yeah, but you're usually like, oh, on the credits there's a little something. But, you know, I think it's really important for someone like you to be here in the show and to participate in the community, to have your character involved in London and all that, because you know, you're coming up with all of this, and it's really important that you're exposed to everyone, right?
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, I think what was integral is that honestly, Fallen like really appreciates my writing skills, but he also appreciates my input on the project. So we do hash things out together. Like we come in together and we're like, hey, I have this idea. Do you think this would work? How can we make this work? Should we make this work? Should we do this other thing? And we have another team member who isn't as regularly involved, and he'll go into the chat and he's like, you guys were talking for hours. How am I supposed to catch up on this? Well, we just hash things out. And I think that makes a big difference, is that we appreciate each other's ideas. We appreciate each other's vision for this. And like, how can we work this? We're in the same direction.
That's like me and Callie's whole life. And because we're in Asia, and like when we wake up, we spend like 4 hours trying to catch up on what happened. So I totally get that.
Yeah.
Oh, we're in different time zones too. He's like, both of them are over in the European countries somewhere. I keep forgetting.
I have a question now. So this story is going to be published where? On your website? It's going to be published on Medium. Where are the plans?
We're still. It was going to be on the website. I think it's still going to be we're working out the kinks with that. But there's going to be an online presence, but also the players are actually going to through the quest lines, they're going to receive pages from the storyline. So they're going to find them in game and also have them released to them as part of their reward in our Discord, like in their channels. So that if you've completed this chapter, you can read this whole chapter. These people who haven't completed it can't read it just yet. And then later we'll release that publicly. That way it's its own reward, the storyline.
Are they going to be NFTs then?
We're trying to connect that. We're trying to work out the kinks of connecting that. We would love to have this as closely interconnected with NFTs as possible, because everybody loves connecting things.
At the very least, I want to find a way to feature your release of this story on our official blog.
Oh, absolutely.
So yeah, please, let's figure out a way to do that without being the spoil alert for all of the other people, right?
I believe what we're planning to do is either it be like a month later or like the next chapter. That's when we'll release that last chapter for anybody to read.
Yeah, I don't know if we'll keep up with everything that you guys are going to do like for the whole time, but definitely like for the release, I would like to put that on there so that people know where to find it and can get connected with it. And
absolutely.
I think Callie, we're going to have to bring her onto a Monday morning and chill with you, me and Corey as well around the time that they do that release too, because I think that'll be definitely fun to dive into that.
Yeah, I agree, because by then we're going to be able to see and hear about all of the secrets that are being kept now. So that's going to be super
cool. You guys just won in the build. That's all it is. You won in the build.
Well, we want that too, yes. Yeah, that's awesome. Is there anything else that you would like to share for now, though? Like you have this space and you can share anything. Like, if people should be aware of certain things, or if they should keep an eye out for a certain website or a social media account or something?
There will be a nice little surprise here soon. I think it's going to be out by the end of the week. So keep your eyes peeled. It'll be on our Twitter. It'll be on our YouTube. We'll release it in the Telegram, Discord, all of that. So we'll try to put it on blast. Also, I don't think I got to it earlier when you were mentioning like if we would stay primarily on London, and I said we'd go elsewhere. We are also planning to have some of the storyline and quests be optional, and one of those would be working on Nemesis, because I know not everybody's going to want to go over there and lose things, but we can have part of the community story be over in Nemesis and have quests there that not everybody has to do, but they can, and it's a nice little thing, nice little community thing of dying together.
I could just see the memes for that. London sent me to die.
I believe we already have a ride or die meme, so there's that. It's definitely part of us.
The LLC sent me on a suicide mission.
We're also planning, like I said, because we want it to be part of the community. Any of the art or anything that's featured. We want to feature those artists. We're going to have a gallery displayed. We're going to put them on our social media and stuff because we want to bring them into this, not just inside of the Uplift, but outside. Like maybe these artists are trying to make a living too and stuff, but we give them exposure here in our quests and then give them more exposure to the people in the community as a whole, and just really try to, in general, pay it forward to everybody who puts into this community.
Mm-hmm. Nice. That's so cool.
I'm trying to get some art in there myself.
Oh, nice. So do you draw as well? Do you paint? Like, what do you usually prefer?
I started digital art this year, and I'm not too bad at it, honestly. They found me for this project because I started making a Minecraft comic, and so when they typed Minecraft, I popped up.
Wow, that's super really cool. You should send me the link to that. I'd be keen on taking a look at that.
Oh, it's not published just yet. I have storyboards up in my portfolio because I'm making it with my kid. He plays Minecraft way more than me. I already told him he can play on some of my plots. He's just got to not go crazy. So if you ever see like a giant cat made out of random things, that's probably why. But he comes up with these. He's got this alter ego that is entirely based off of Minecraft that he calls Mr. Creep. And he tells me all these stories about it, and I decided to just run with it. I'm like, okay, how can we make this digestible for an audience? Okay, Mr. Creep is going to have a backstory, and that's what we're doing.
I think
nice.
I
get to explore that.
I definitely go visit a gallery with that backstory in the Uplift somewhere.
I'm hoping to have enough Upliftium at some point to display it on my plot.
Be awesome. Yeah.
And that drawing I mentioned of Corey as a wizard, it inspired a little tiny wizard that looks a little bit like the original Corey drawing, and so that's going to be in the comic because it was just too cute not to use.
It's like a baby Yoda, but it's Corey as a wizard.
Yeah, it's like a really, really short one. Like if you had as tall as the zombie babies are, but if their body was just a little block.
Oh, dude, I'm so like Cowie. Like we could have to like put this like we're gonna have to play this like every day next week on our regular show just to make Corey FOMO into this. It's gonna be great. I'm probably not gonna do it, but I love it. It's great.
Yeah, that's nice. I mean, I don't know how every time. It's just so exciting to hear about new things in this show. It's like I mentioned last time, right? Like, oh, the plots are always so different and stuff. And this time is not just about the plots being different. It's like the whole idea of the stuff that you're bringing in is so different, and it's gonna add so much to the metaverse. So I'm super happy that we get to do this, that we're doing.
Yeah, and so a little bit of a plug on this as well. When we first started, like series 1 of this show. It was basically looking at like a lot of these communities that were gifted plots and what they're doing. But now we're starting to break into like other types of people, especially our last 2 shows, right? Obviously this one with Londomly Londom, which is like kind of in a way a self-organizing, driving community. But with Russ, last one as well, who's like involved in a variety of communities. So if you guys are out there and you're in the process of creating or drumming up business for your community or releasing something, please reach out to Cowie or myself. We would love to have you on the Journeys episode so that you can tell your story about where you're headed in the Uplift world and what that means to the greater community in general. Because I think like just being able to get introduced to like these great concepts from Yuka. And what's going to happen, what's on the horizon of the future is really exciting, and I'm really excited to not only learn the basics from you today, Yuka, but also for us to dive in once this whole thing gets off the ground running, and find out like where it's headed, because it's going to be a whole interactive experience, which in a way is what the whole Uplift world was designed for. It wasn't designed as this stagnant piece of literature that I love books, by the way, but anyway, it wasn't designed as a stagnant piece of literature that's going to collect dust.
This is going a different direction.
Right,
I intended.
yeah, it's going to collect dust like in some library. It's designed as a dynamic, communal experience whereby people can get together and drive things forward. And I think that you guys are going to have a say in a lot more than even maybe you understand. So I'm really excited to see where you guys take this whole concept.
Believe me,
TC
I'm
being
excited
generous
too.
as always. He just is asking if he can just give us 1 million Upliftium so we can just give 10 people options to put a picture on their wall.
Yeah.
We just have to work out how Upliftium used from one account to install pictures in different plots is going to work, TC. This is definitely going to be something I think I see happening. We just don't have the means right now, in my head at least, to technically do that. I'm pretty sure that something could be worked out, but let me check. I don't
think
know. We have to check with Jen.
Well, and TC is going to be on the show as well, so I'm kind of wondering if maybe we shouldn't just start a community fund somewhere that he can designate to people along the way. Like you said, there's some technicals that need to be worked out, but it would be nice.
Adam said that Neon Space already has gifted out pictures with Upliftium, so something can be worked out for sure. We can talk with Jen to see how she did it for Neon Space then. And yeah, we should be able to make something work, I guess, right? It would be cool to actually get you here on the show as well, TC, and then do that while you're in the show, like work something out, right? Like have an idea to give those away. You can organize who you want to give it out to, for example, during the show or something like that. I don't know.
Oh, damn, snap. That's good. Let's do that. Let's get Jen and TC on here together, and the journey through the uplift will be like whoever TC decides to reward, and Jen can just go on stream and drop those pictures in the whole stream, and we can just chat with TC about, why he does what he does. That's always awesome. I like it. Good idea, Kelly.
Yeah, I mean, I like having ideas. So thanks. Yeah, I'm not a writer. I'm maybe not good in putting my ideas down in words, but I've went a different way. I still see myself as a creative person. I worked in businesses and done, my own company and worked in other stuff as well. And what I do now with the Uplift, apart from community management, is more towards that. But it is, in a way, I like to think that it's similar, because I don't tell stories through just writing down all of the words together in a way that makes a lot of sense. But I try to put the right words in the right places in sheets and documents to try to visualize, directions we can go and models for us to work on top of and that kind of stuff. So I'm really excited about what I do too.
Rarely
real world creativity.
Yeah.
Rarely do I disagree with Cowie, but Cowie
yeah.
is completely wrong on this. I have seen draft documents that Cowie has put together for proposals inside the Uplift world that would blow most institutional presentations by big stream investors out of the water. I mean, attention to detail.
Thanks,
and
man.
then
You're too generous.
So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I used to do for my startup was putting together the actual pitch decks and what are the relevant information. And when we come, my role was chief creative officer, so I was the person basically in charge of coming up with the not just coming up with ideas, because that's, I think, more of what writers do. You guys have all the freedom to just go really crazy, which is amazing, right? And because everything is in our minds and we can just travel through these different worlds and stuff, right? And it's awesome. But when I try to apply something like that to companies, you also have to keep your feet in the ground about a lot of the stuff. There's a lot of constraints, and so the idea is more you get the ideas that are really interesting to you and to the community and to your team and all, and you make sure that they're being looked at in the right way, with feasibility in mind and sustainability, and that you can actually implement them and make them a reality, and that there is a team and there's resources enough to get that done. So all those things need to be taken into consideration in that process, right? And it's something that I've kind of grew to become better at doing, and then just really enjoy doing as well. So it's super cool to be here doing that kind of stuff as well.
I think that's awesome. That's exactly the kind of stuff that like I can't take those jobs. I see the pitch decks and everything. I'm like, I don't know these real world details. This was like, you mean you want me to write something and I don't have to think about the real world at all? Oh my goodness, I never thought I'd have a job like this ever.
Yeah, look, that's appealing to me as well. Like, how cool is that, right? I can understand that.
Yeah, well, I got distracted here. I was having an idea.
He's thinking about that hallway.
Yeah, totally thinking about that hallway. But yeah, you know what? I'm super excited to see what you guys come up with, and I meant like everything that I said. Please be in touch when you guys are about to go live, because I want that. I don't need the sneak peek, but I'd like to be the first person to know about what's happening as it unfolds. And please, yeah, come back on another show. You're in Florida time, so hopefully you can get up at 9 a.m. When we do our regular show, and we can do a Monday morning and chill. We can fly around. We can check out the inside of this sci-fi, historical base castle that's going on there. Maybe we can even stand at the top of that waterfall by the statue and jump off and yeah, dip our toes in the ink, so to speak, live on camera in air for this release. I'm really excited to see how this unfolds, because it's something unique and original to the Uplift world that I think you guys are going to be forerunners at creating a whole new dynamic, a whole new way that people can interact with the world and the community itself. So I'm super excited. Cowie, do you have anything else to say before we wrap this one up?
I think I am good. I'm really happy to have had you on the show, Yuka. Thank you so much for coming and being such a cool person. Yeah, want to hear more about the project and yourself, and how you are, getting inserted into this crazy Uplift world, which is unlike the Minecraft projects you've played before.
Yeah. Thank you for having me and for thinking I'm cool. Yeah, that's always nice.
You are. Awesome. All right.
Not much thought went into it. It was just the aura you gave from the second you signed into the stream, and that's fact. Seriously. Thank you.
Just
we're out of here. We'll see you guys on the flip side.
All right.
For the next journey.
We'll see you guys next time.
All right.